The 80/20 principle. Achieve more with less. Section 1. Acknowledge the LAW of imbalance. All success in life flows not from balance, but from imbalance that is properly understood and directed. Nature herself abides by this silent law. Look closely, and you will observe. The mighty oak tree drops thousands of acorns, yet only a handful ever take root. The earth is vast, yet only a small portion of its soil yields the richest harvests. The sun shines on all, but only those who rise early and face it directly are nourished by its first and finest rays. So it is with human effort. You may work endlessly, burn the midnight oil, fill every hour with action, but unless your action is guided by wisdom, you will confuse motion for progress. The 80/20 principle is not theory. It is the law of selectivity in cause and effect. It declares that 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your effort. A mere fraction of what you do determines the overwhelming majority of what you receive. This law does not ask your permission. It exists whether you recognize it or not. But the wise, the builders of wealth, influence, and destiny, these are the ones who embrace it and wield it like a sharpened tool. They do not ask how much they can do. They ask which few actions produce the most. They do not confuse busyness with business. They do not mistake the swarm of tasks for the pursuit of greatness. You must begin to see your life as a field of unequal value. Not all hours are equal, not all people are equal, not all opportunities are equal. Some hours, some relationships, some decisions are golden. They shine with power to shape your entire life if only you dare to recognize them. The rest are noise, mere distractions dressed in urgency, calling you away from your destiny. You must train your mind to search for the hidden lever, the small hinge that swings the large door. Your success does not lie in doing more. It lies in identifying what few things do the most for you and doing them without compromise. This is the law of selective power. The man who obeys it becomes master of his fate. The man who ignores it becomes a slave to confusion, scattered effort, and quiet failure. Think of the greats, those who changed history, those who built empires. They were not drowning in to-do lists. They had one, two, perhaps three major focuses. Their days were not cluttered, they were concentrated. Their genius was not in doing everything. Their genius was in knowing what not to do. If your calendar is full, but your soul is empty, you have not understood the law. If you find yourself exhausted, yet unrewarded, it is because you have yet to sift the wheat from the chaff. You are spending your strength on the 80% that barely moves the needle, while ignoring the 20% that could elevate your life. You must stop, you must examine, you must divide. Divide your efforts, divide your habits, divide your associations. Identify the ones that multiply your results and discard the rest with merciless clarity. Your time is sacred. Your energy is your wealth. To waste it on mediocrity is to commit quiet suicide against your own potential. You were not born to tread water. You were not born to answer every call, to respond to every distraction, to cater to every petty demand. You were born to build, to rise, to shine, to dominate your domain. And for this, you must learn to recognize the 20% of your life that deserves your fire, your thought, your will. Master this, and you will bend reality in your favor. The law of imbalance is not a curse, it is a gift. It is the whisper of nature telling you that you do not need more hours, more resources, or more luck. You only need more discernment, a clearer eye, a sharper mind, and above all, a will that refuses to be pulled into mediocrity by the pull of the unimportant. To live without this awareness is to wander in the fog. To live with it is to possess a compass toward greatness. And once you begin to measure your efforts by their returns, you will cease to chase and begin to create. You will stop drowning in tasks and start swimming toward your purpose. The average man brags of being busy. The exceptional man boasts only of being effective. Learn this difference, embrace this principle, and then apply it with the faith of a man who knows he was made for more. Section 2. Concentrate your energy on the vital FEW. There is a power that multiplies when you concentrate. It is the same power that burns paper when the sun's rays are focused through a lens, scattered, that sunlight warms but never transforms. Focused, it ignites, and so it is with your energy, your time, your life. The principle of the vital few demands that you concentrate on what matters most ruthlessly, unapologetically, and with complete disregard for the noise around you. Every man is pulled by the world's distractions, but the man who succeeds is the one who cuts through them with the sword of purpose. He does not dabble. He does not sample every path. He does not offer his genius to 1,000 demands. He chooses 1 or 2 pursuits and gives them everything. The world teaches you to diversify your focus, to be good at many things. But success true, unstoppable success comes not from many, but from mastery. And mastery is the child of focus. When you find that vital 20%, those few tasks, few clients, few ideas, that produce the majority of your results, you must make them your obsession. The law of concentration states that energy, when intensified in one direction, breaks through walls that scattered energy cannot even scratch. The man who does 100 things weakly is invisible. The man who does one thing with full force is irresistible. You must become the latter. You will feel resistance when you try to focus. The trivial many will scream for your attention. Emails, social media, conversations, invitations, they will swarm you like flies around gold, but you must remain unmoved. The price of greatness is isolation from the ordinary. You cannot be extraordinary and constantly accessible. You cannot walk the narrow path while giving time to every traveler on the wide road. To concentrate on the vital few is to guard your mind like a fortress. It means saying no 100 times to say yes to one thing that matters. It means walking past opportunities that glitter, because you have found the diamond that multiplies. It means being misunderstood, criticized, even mocked, by those who measure success by activity and popularity. Let them talk. Let them scatter their energy in all directions. You were not made to follow. You were made to conquer. Look into your life. What are the few actions that produce the bulk of your results? What are the few clients, the few disciplines, the few habits that elevate you faster than the rest? That is your gold. That is your focus. That is your 20%. Pour yourself into it. Forget the rest. Even among your goals, only a few matter. Most goals are vanity dressed as ambition. They feed your ego, not your destiny. The wise man picks a few great goals and gives them the full weight of his will. He does not chase. He does not juggle. He concentrates. The secret is not in doing more. The secret is in doing fewer things better. When you master this, you will experience power you never knew you had. You will find time expanding. You will find results compounding. You will find joy in simplicity and strength in clarity. Your days will be fewer but fuller. Your actions less but louder. Your presence quieter but deeper. The average life is scattered and loud. The exceptional life is focused and silent. You do not need to scream to make an impact. You only need to strike the right note. When a man finds his vital few and commits, truly commits, he becomes a force no adversity can contain. He no longer reacts, he initiates. He no longer serves the day. The day serves him. You are not here to be average. You are here to concentrate your power, like a river that carves through stone. You are here to know your 20% and pour your very soul into it without compromise. Section 3. Eliminate the trivial many, there is a weight you carry that does not belong to you. It is the weight of distractions, obligations, habits, and people who do not move you closer to the life you were born to build. These things, these seemingly harmless grains of sand, when collected in number, become a mountain too heavy for your purpose to climb. The man who wishes to rise must first learn to release. The 80/20 principle speaks not only to focus, but to the ruthless elimination of the trivial many. If 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions, it is equally true that 80% of your stress, your noise, your delays, and your failures come from the other 80% of your behaviors, associations, and decisions. The wise man does not try to manage these distractions. He destroys them. You must see your time as sacred ground. Not every thought deserves space in your mind. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every meeting deserves your presence. Not every invitation deserves your consideration. Every yes to the trivial is a silent no to your destiny, and the man who lives by pleasing the world will die having disappointed himself. Look around your life. What are the habits that do nothing for your growth? What are the routines that consume but never create? Who are the people whose voices always demand but never build? These are the trivial many. They may wear smiles. They may disguise themselves as friends, as responsibilities, as entertainment, even as duties. But their true nature is revealed when you measure them by their fruit. What do they produce in you? Do they strengthen your spirit, sharpen your vision, increase your discipline, magnify your results? Or do they drain you quietly, slowly, and without mercy? You are not here to manage what does not serve you. You are here to master your life, and mastery begins with elimination. The path to greatness is not paved with additions, but with subtractions. The builder of empires clears the ground before he lays the foundation. So too must you clear your life of anything that does not multiply your momentum. Begin with your environment. What clutters your space, clutters your mind? Clean it. Simplify it. Make room for the new by discarding the unnecessary. Then move inward. Examine your schedule. What fills your days with motion but no meaning? Cut it. Examine your habits. What consumes your hours but adds no wisdom, no health, no wealth? Replace it. Then examine your circle. Who speaks but never uplifts? Who watches you grow with indifference or envy? Distance yourself. Do not feel guilt. Feel clarity. Feel strength. Every champion who has ever stood on the summit of achievement has walked away from the comfortable many. They have broken ties with mediocrity, not out of pride, but out of purpose. To fulfill your calling, you must become deaf to the distractions that call you from it. This is the discipline. Most avoid the discipline of subtraction. It feels unnatural in a world that praises accumulation. But it is the subtraction of the trivial that multiplies your power. It is the elimination of noise that amplifies your message. It is the rejection of the many that elevates the few. You cannot live a high you life with low you habits. You cannot speak with power when you listen to every whisper. You cannot stand tall when you kneel to every obligation that knocks. The man who builds must be willing to offend. The man who wins must be willing to walk away. The man who leads must be willing to be alone, if necessary, to protect his vision. There is a sacred fire within you, but it cannot burn bright while it is smothered by the smoke of distraction. Clear the air, protect the flame, give it space to rise, for when your energy is no longer leaking into the unimportant, it will gather, it will focus, it will surge, and in that surge you will do more with less. You will advance not through struggle, but through strategy. You will become a vessel for excellence, because you have emptied yourself of what no longer aligns. The world will call you cold, selfish, strange. Let them speak. They do not understand that you are no longer playing the game of popularity. You are playing the game of legacy. The trivial many beg for your attention, but the vital few wait silently, patiently, powerfully. When you clear the stage, the real players appear. When you remove the weeds, the roots grow deep. When you say no to the 100 things that scream, you will hear the whisper of the one thing that matters. Follow it. Obey it. Serve it with all your might. Section 4. Control time by controlling focus. There is no such thing as time management, only focus management. Time is not yours to control, but focus is. And he who learns to govern his focus masters the outcome of his hours, his days, his entire life. The 80/20 principle teaches that the value of time is not found in its quantity, but in its application. 10 minutes of concentrated effort produces more than 10 hours of scattered motion. 1 hour of intention creates more transformation than a month of half-hearted hustle. The average man watches time slip away like sand through his fingers and blames the clock. The exceptional man channels his focus into the small few things that matter and finds time multiplying in his hands. This is the paradox of purpose. When you focus, time obeys you. To master time, you must build boundaries around your mind. You must protect your attention like it is the crown jewel of your kingdom, because it is. Your attention is currency. Where you spend it determines your wealth. It is fire. Where you aim, it determines what you burn down and what you build up. Most people wake up and allow the world to dictate their focus. Notifications, gossip, news, small talk, and shallow pursuits, all of them, hijack the mind before it has had a chance to serve its owner. You must not begin your day reacting. You must begin by commanding. The man who wakes with purpose and directs his focus before the world distracts him is the man who wins before breakfast. Structure your time to protect your mind. Give your first and finest hours to your most valuable work. This is the 20% that moves your life forward. Let no one interrupt it. Let no triviality enter it. Guard it like a vault. Turn off the noise, withdraw from the crowd, retreat into silence, and strike at your most critical work with full presence. When your focus is singular, your impact multiplies. The secret weapon of the high achiever is not longer hours, but deeper presence. While others skim through their tasks, the focused man plunges deep. He finishes in 1 hour what takes others a day. He creates what others only copy. He stands out not by speed, but by depth. But beware, focus must be trained. It is a muscle, and like any muscle, it weakens when unused and strengthens under discipline. You must teach your mind to stay. You must resist the itch of distraction. You must endure the discomfort of single-minded effort. You must say no to the world's demands to say yes to your destiny. There will always be more messages to check, more tasks to complete, more things to browse. But your greatness does not lie in doing more. It lies in doing the few things that matter completely, excellently, and without interruption. This is the true multiplier of time. This is how you bend the hours in your favor. You cannot move forward while staring in every direction. You cannot rise while multitasking mediocrity. You cannot win while checking your phone every 5 minutes for validation. Every time you switch tasks, you lose energy. Every time you shift focus, you leak power. Every interruption is a theft, not just of your attention, but of your future. Your focus is your life's steering wheel. Where you direct it, you go. Scatter it, and you stall. Aim it, and you accelerate. The world is full of talent that never succeeded, not because they lacked ability, but because they never learned to focus. They drifted, they reacted, they tried everything and mastered nothing. They drowned in opportunity because they never chose one thing and gave it everything. But you You can be different. You can choose to focus. You can train yourself to say no to the shallow, the urgent, the convenient. You can direct your mind like a sword and cut through the chaos of daily life. You can take back your time not by working harder, but by focusing sharper. And when you do, you will discover a power that others do not know exists. You will find time expanding, opportunities multiplying, and results compounding. You will no longer be at the mercy of the day. You will be its master. And in that mastery you will rise above the noise and carve a path that few have the discipline to follow. Section 5. Double down on the hive. Alufew, there are few things in life that create most value. And yet, the masses continue to chase everything instead of mastering the few things that truly matter. The man who understands the 80/20 principle does not scatter his strength. He concentrates it. He identifies the small hinges that swing the big doors in his life and business, and he commits himself entirely to those hinges. If 20% of your actions produce 80% of your results, then you are standing on a gold mine disguised as simplicity. You do not need more tactics. You do not need more ideas. You do not need to chase every opportunity. What you need is to double down on what already works, amplify the effective, scale the profitable, repeat the proven. The road to greatness is not lined with novelty, but paved with mastery. The high performers of the world are not superior in talent. They are superior in focus. They do not waste energy trying to be everything to everyone. They find the one thing that moves the needle and do it with relentless intensity. They do not dabble, they dominate. They do not diversify effort. They multiply results by driving deep into the few things that bring the greatest return. Success is not about working hard on everything. It is about working smart on the right thing. It is not about how many hours you put in, but where those hours are applied. The man who places all his effort into his zone of highest return does not just get more done. He outpaces, outperforms, and outlasts everyone else who is running in circles. Excellence is not complicated. It is concentrated. It is forged in the furnace of repetition. It is built on deliberate effort, focused on a narrow path. Find the 20% of your work, your skills, your relationships, your strategies that bring exponential returns, and give them your full allegiance. Let the rest fall away. Be ruthless with your energy. Be precise with your time. Be loyal to results. The average man abandons what works because he gets bored. The great man doubles down because he understands that greatness lives on the other side of boredom. It lives in refinement. It lives in iteration. It lives in depth. The shallow seek novelty. The successful seek mastery. And the disciplined know that mastery demands that you do what works again and again, until the world cannot ignore your presence. There are relationships in your life that yield massive returns. Pour into them. There are clients, projects, ideas, and systems that deliver disproportionate results. Build around them. Stop diluting your life with things that produce little and consume much. You do not need more. You need to extract more value from what already works. You need to optimize, not expand. You need to deepen, not diversify. You need to bet big on what has already proven its power. Let the world chase noise. Let others run toward the next big trend. You stand firm on the foundation of what delivers. Protect it, nurture it, multiply it. You do not rise by chasing everything. You rise by honoring the few things that matter most. The great enterprises of history, the legendary careers, the vast fortunes were not built by scattered ambition. They were built by focused obsession. The 20% is your leverage. It is your power base. It is your secret weapon in a world that is obsessed with quantity. Quantity blinds the masses. but quality, deliberate, intentional, high-return quality builds empires. If you wish to live like few do, you must be willing to do what few are willing to do, and that means saying yes to the essential, and no to the merely acceptable. That means saying yes to depth, and no to distraction. That means committing to the few, even when the many are screaming for your attention. Section 6. Live by intention, not by default. The man who applies the 80/20 principle to his life becomes the architect of his destiny. He does not drift. He does not react. He does not wait to be told what matters. He moves through life with deliberate intention. He chooses his path with precision, and he walks it with discipline. While others move with the current, he becomes the current. The world around you is not designed for focus. It is built for consumption. Everything around you, social media, entertainment, shallow conversation, the flood of daily noise, is a trap to lure you into a default mode of living. But the man who awakens to his purpose must not surrender his time to the demands of others. He must create a blueprint for his life and then act with the intensity of a builder racing the setting sun. Living by intention is not passive. It is a battle. It is a daily war against the trivial. It is the refusal to drift. It is the decision to govern your life like a ruler governs his kingdom. Every minute must have meaning. Every hour must bend toward your mission. Every decision must align with your highest aim. You do not wake up hoping for success. You wake up and command it. The intentional man begins his day with clarity. He knows what matters before the day begins. He knows which few actions will deliver the most progress, and he commits himself to them before the world begins screaming for his attention. He does not wander into his day hoping for direction. He enters it armed with purpose. He works from a plan. He moves with decisiveness. He acts with courage. When you live by default, you become a puppet of circumstances. Your energy is pulled, not directed. Your time is spent, not invested. Your goals are forgotten in the noise of urgent but unimportant demands. But when you live by intention, you reverse the current. You build life on your terms. You use time as a tool, not a taskmaster. You choose your battles, and you win them with precision. Intention is the weapon of the uncommon. It is the force that turns scattered motion into laser execution. It is the mindset that separates the mediocre from the master. The man of intention knows that if he does not lead his life, someone else will. He knows that in the absence of deliberate design, the default setting is average, and average is death to the soul that was made for more. The greats live on the edge of intention. They do not entertain distraction. They do not apologize for saying no. They do not waste energy explaining their focus. They build, and the world watches in silence. Their results speak louder than the noise they've left behind. And their legacy is forged not in doing more, but in doing what matters consistently, relentlessly, unapologetically. To live by intention, you must decide what matters most, and then restructure your life to orbit around it. You must measure your actions not by their popularity, but by their impact. You must weigh your hours not by how busy they feel, but by how far they move you toward your mountain. You must speak less and act more. You must plan each day as if it were your last chance to rise, and treat every hour as sacred ground not to be wasted. The man of default lives for comfort. He avoids the hard decisions. He escapes into busyness and confusion, mistaking movement for meaning. But the man of intention embraces discipline. He welcomes structure. He creates systems. He tracks his actions. He revisits his mission. He reviews his progress. And in this cycle of focus, effort, and reflection, he becomes unstoppable. The 80/20 principle is not a trick. It is a truth. It reveals that most of what you do adds little to your life, and that a select few actions, habits, and thoughts are the key to unlocking everything you desire. When you live with intention, you magnify those few. You build around them, you protect them, you master them. And in doing so, you rise above the ordinary. You walk in a rhythm that others do not understand. You create a life that seems impossible to those who are still living by default. And you prove by your results that success is not a secret, it is a structure. The 80/20 principle is not just a strategy. It is a philosophy of power, clarity, and focused excellence. When you align your energy with the few actions that produce the greatest outcomes, you escape the chaos of the average and enter the mastery of the exceptional. Success is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most with intention, precision, and unrelenting focus. Let others chase everything. You choose the vital few. Build your life, your discipline, and your legacy around what truly counts, and you will achieve more than most ever will with less effort than they ever understand.